Hello, so friends, you are welcome back once again to my channel. So very quickly, I'm going to be drafting a simple basic bodice on my pattern paper. Okay, so this simple basic bodice can be drafted directly on your fabric, but for illustration purposes, I'm going to be drafting on this pattern paper. So what I'm going to do, the first thing you have to do is to get the length of your blouse, your half length. Okay, from your, when I say half length, I mean from your shoulder to your waist. Okay, so for mine, my shoulder to my waist is 18 inches, so I'm going to be adding 1 inch to that 18 inches. So the reason why I'm adding 1 inch to the 18 inches is because I'm going to be joining the shoulders with half an inch, and I'm going to join the waistline with another half of an inch, so which makes it 19. So I'm just going to mark 19 inches on my paper. Before you do this, make sure that the edge of your paper is straight, or the edge of your fabric is straight. If the edge of your pattern paper is not straight, you can come down by 1 inch and then you rule the line, okay? But mine is okay, so I'm just going to be marking my 19 inches like so. So if you're just stopping by on this channel, make sure you subscribe to this channel. Click the like button and don't forget to turn on the notification bell, because I'm going to be dropping interesting tutorials for you guys. Okay, so after getting the length of my fabric, the shoulder to the waist, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark out my shoulder measurement. So I'm going to be adding allowance to my pattern. Okay, so my shoulder is 16 inches, so I'll mark the 16 inches. I divide that by 2 and I have 8. Because I'm adding allowance to my pattern, I'm going to be adding half an inch to this. Okay, this half an inch I have here is to join the sleeve to the bodice. Okay, so after doing this, I'm going to mark out my neck width. Standard neck width is 3 inches. So after getting my neck width, I'm going to come down here on the shoulder line by 1 inch. So I'm coming down on the shoulder line by 1 inch because the shoulder is not straight. Okay, if you want to know if your shoulder is straight or not, just put a ruler on your neckline, very close to your neck. You will see that your shoulder is not straight. So I'm going to slant this to meet the neck width, like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my shoulder to my nipple point. Okay, so here I'm going to be using 11.5. It's actually 11 inches, but I'm coming down by half an inch because I'm going to be joining the shoulders. Okay, so I'll mark that 11 and a half all the way, and I'm going to rule across like so. This is a very quick tutorial, and it's very simple to make. So the next thing I'm going to do is to input my armhole measurement. Okay, so I'm going to be using 8.5 for my armhole. So the next thing to do, you want your armhole, the armhole line to be straight. Okay, so I have 8.5 on the shoulder line. I'm going to bring that 8.5 to this point, like so, and I'll mark that down, and then I'll rule a straight line from the armhole point to meet the shoulder measurement, like so. Okay, you can draft this even if you don't have a base, even if you don't have your pattern rulers and all that. You can see me using just one ruler. Okay, so now the next thing I'm going to do is to divide this armhole line from this slant that I have here. I'm going to divide it into 2. Just fold your tape like so, divide into 2 and mark that point. Okay, so on this point now, I'm going to go in by half of an inch, like so. Then I'll connect to meet the shoulder, like so. And then I'll connect it back to the armhole. Okay, so you might just want to come, just take like 1 inch on this part, like so, on this line. Just mark 1 inch here, like so. And then you connect. You can see what I have there, and then you connect. That is if you don't have your armhole curve, you can just make your free hand and then you are good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my measurement on the bust line. This is the bust line and this is my waistline or my half length line. Okay, so for my bust is 42. I divide that into 4 and I'll get 10.5 inches. So that 10.5 inches, I'm going to be inputting that down here now, like so. And I'll add 1 inch as my sewing allowance. Make sure you add your sewing allowance. If you don't add your sewing allowance, you won't be able to wear your dress. It's going to be very, very short, okay? You're going to run short of measurement. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my measurement on the waist line, okay? So I have 35 inches for my waist circumference. So I'm going to be inputting that. I'll divide my waist circumference by 4 inches. 35 divided by 4, I will have 8.75. Okay, so I'm just going to mark that 8.75 here. And I'll add my 1 inch for that. And then I'm going to put another 1 inch for my sewing allowance. Do you understand that? 1 inch for that and 1 inch for allowance, joining allowance. So that we have here, that 1 inch we have here for our dart, we are going to put the dart now into consideration. Let me rule this to meet the bust point, okay? So I'm not going to stop on the bust point. I'm going to connect it to meet the armhole, okay? Like so. So the next thing I'm going to do now, my nipple to nipple measurement is 8 inches. I'll divide the 8 inches by 2. I will get 4. So I'm going to put down the 4 inches here now. Okay, so this is the 4-inch mark that I have here. I'll come to my nipple point, my bust line. I mark that here as well, and I'll rule a straight line. So on this bust line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch, like so. You can see that. Then on this waistline, I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides of my nipple point, like so. And then I will connect it to meet this 1 inch that I have here. I'll connect both sides. So I am actually done with my front pattern. So for the neckline, you can decide to do any neck line, any neck style that you want. But for this tutorial, I'm just going to be doing a basic neck. Okay, so basic neck is 3 by 3. But don't forget that I'm joining half an inch on the shoulder. Okay, so I have to make that 3.5 inches so that I can have allowance to join the shoulder together. So I'm just going to connect this like so. Okay, just going to connect that like so, and I'll cut out my front pattern is ready. So I'm going to cut this out like so. So if you are a beginner, you should try this out before thinking of making bustier tops, okay, or bustier blouse. You should try this out. Okay, so this is my front block. Okay, so I'll be drafting the back now. So I'm just going to bring my pattern like so, and I'll place this front block on top of my pattern like so. So before I do this, I'm going to mark 1 inch for my zipper allowance. You can decide how many inches you want to use for your zipper allowance. You can use 1.5, you can do 2 inches, but it shouldn't be more than 2 inches. For my simple tops like this, I love to use 1 inch for my zipper allowance. So I'm just going to mark this all the way up like so. So the next thing is to just place your front block on the back, leaving your zipper allowance, okay? So all you need to do is to mark your armhole. You can see what I'm doing. Just mark it all the way, let it get to. So all you need to do is to cut this out. So I'm just going to cut it out like so. Don't forget, on this armhole part for the back, this part that you divided into two for the armhole, you replace back your half an inch. Okay, so this part now, I'm going to replace back my half an inch. So I'll replace the half an inch back now, like so. Hope you can see this clearly. So after replacing that back, I'll connect like so, and then I'll connect it back to the shoulder like so. So the armhole for the front and the back is not the same. So that's why I'm replacing back my half an inch. So now I'm going to cut following that half an inch mark that I have there, like so. Then I'm going to trim out my shoulder slant like so. You can see what I did. Okay, so I'm not going to be cutting the front neckline and the back neckline together. So I'm just going to mark the back neckline so that the front and the back will align. Okay, so that's why I'm doing this. You can see. So I'm going to remove my front pattern. I'm going to cut out the neckline, the neck width for the front. Don't forget, you can be creative. You can do any neck width you want for your front. Okay, that's totally up to you. So I'm going to remove this front block so that I can work on the back. Okay, so connect the armhole point together like so. So for the back neck width, you can see 3 inches that I used for the front is aligning. Okay, so for this is the neck width. For the back neck depth, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches for the back neck depth, like so. So I'll connect to meet this point like so. Don't forget, you can as well do any style of neckline you want for the back. You can do a V, you can do a U shape, whatever style of neckline you want is totally up to you. Okay, but for this, I'm going to be working with this. So for my armhole, for the dart, for the back dart, I'm going to input my 4 inches here on the waistline, like so. And then I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides. So on this line, I'm going to mark 4 inches as well. Don't forget, I'm not marking from the zipper allowance. So I'm going to connect like so. So for the front, we went down by 1 inch. But for the back, I'm not going down by 1 inch. I'm going to connect it to meet the armhole line. Okay, so this is a very simple tutorial. As a beginner, you can be creative. I'm going to input some styles that I made with this simple pattern in this video, at the end of this video. So make sure you watch till the end so that you understand what I'm talking about. So I am done sewing. I'm done drafting the back pattern. I'm going to modify the back pattern a little. So just cut out the neckline like so. So when you want to sew your back pattern, all you need to do is to fold the dart like so, and then you sew down from here all the way down like so. If you want to sew on your fabric, just do it like this and sew. You do the same thing for the front as well. Okay, so now in order not to have zipper bulge at the back of your dress, at the back of your outfit when you are done, what I like to do, because we know that the front length and the back half length is not the same, so you measure the difference you have between your front and back. Okay, you can have 3 inches difference, you can have 2 inches difference, you can have 1.5 inches difference. So it depends. So you need to measure your back half length and your front half length. Okay, so my back half length is 16 inches while my front is 18 inches. Don't forget that I added 1 inch to the front to the length of the front. So it's the front pattern that we use to draft out the back. So now, because my back measurement is 2 inches shorter than my front, let me label this so you don't get confused. So because my back measurement is 2 inches shorter than the front, I'm going to come here now on the waistline. I'm going to input my 2 inches on the waistline like so. 2 inches on the waistline. I hope you can see this clearly. So don't forget, I have 1 inch for my sewing allowance on this pattern. Okay, so this is my 1 inch for sewing allowance. We already added it to the front. You can see it here. We just traced out the front for the back. Okay, so I already have my 1 inch joining allowance on this now. So what I'm going to do now is to connect from this 2 inches that I have here to this 1 inch point on the sewing allowance. So let me do that quickly. So you can see what I have there. So I won't be needing this part of my, so we are going to be eliminating this. You can see, don't be confused. I know it looks slanted, but don't worry, it's going to come out very well when you are done with your outfit. So this, we don't need this. I'm going to be eliminating this. Okay, so to further eliminate zipper board at the back of your dress, I'm going to be taking 1 inch again on the waistline. Okay, on the zipper allowance from the waistline like so. I'm taking half an inch. You can see the half an inch mark that I have here. So I'm just going to slant that to meet the neckline. Okay, you can see the way I'm placing my ruler. So just slant it, slant, slant, slant. Okay, and then I'm going to cut this out. This does not stop anything. So don't forget that I have 1 inch for my zipper allowance before now. So when I'm sewing this on my fabric, I'm going to be maintaining the 1 inch. Don't mind the slants that we have. Okay, so we are done with our simple basic bodice block. With this pattern, you can be creative with it. Okay, if you try out my method, don't forget to like my videos, send me pictures of your outfits when you are done. You can follow me on Instagram at Fanimattz. You can join our Facebook community at Fanimattz Fashion Academy. You can join our soul group on Facebook. There you get quick replies to your questions. So if you enjoyed watching this tutorial as much as I enjoyed filming, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, share this with your friends, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell. Don't forget that I love you. Stay blessed. Bye.